we were talking with Srila Prabhupada, and Nandan was remembering that he'd worked in a... Prabhupada was talking about Ugra Karma and how people work so hard and they get no result for it, and etc., and how difficult it is for them. So Nanda Swami began to speak about how he used to work in a canning factory in California before he was a devotee for some period of time. And he began to describe in detail, some detail at least, what it was like to work in this hellish factory. So I'd been around a couple of years now, I was a bit more confident, so I felt, even though a little shy and nervous, I still thought, well, I have a little something to say here, and I began to talk to Prabhupada about how I worked in a steel factory for a few weeks, or a month or so, when I was about 19, 20, a year or so before I met Srila Prabhupada. And I began to describe it in some detail. There was this huge press, and there were two people working on this press, and our only job was to lift up the metal guard of the press and take one huge sheet of steel and put it into the press and pull down the guard and press the button, and this big press would come down and make this piece of steel into a shape of a bath. And then we'd walk around the other side of the press, huge hydraulic press, and lift up the guard and take out the bath and throw it onto a conveyor belt and pull down the guard and walk around the other side and lift up the guard and put in the steel and pull down the guard and press the button, and the press would come down and go around the other. So I was speaking, and Prabhupada was listening and watching and smiling, not smiling, but listening carefully. And I said that then I was doing quite well, Prabhupada. They invited me to work night shift. You got extra money on night shift. So that's what I thought, that I was such a good worker. Actually, it was nobody wanted to do it. But there was a little extra pay, so I thought I'd try. And I found after 1 or 2 weeks that I nearly had a nervous breakdown. I was actually working all night. I couldn't sleep during the day. And because I was such a sense gratifier, I would always go out in the night with my friends, so then I'd go from there to work. So after a couple of weeks of this, I almost had a nervous breakdown from the strain. And Prabhupada listened, and then he was thinking, and he said, actually, that's because in your last life you were all Brahmins. And everyone was sort of looking. There were about 10 people in the room. And he said, actually, otherwise, how could you so quickly come to the platform of Krishna consciousness? And then he stopped and he thought for a little longer. He was leaning on his cushions. He was in a very relaxed mood, leaning back on his cushions with this table. I think it was this same table in front of him at the time. And he was relaxed. He was leaning back and thinking, and then he said, actually, my Guru Maharaj has ordered you all to take birth to help me spread this mission. And so everyone's ears are popping up. And then he looked around across everyone in the room, and he finished. I was sitting here with Nandan, and he looked across everyone, and he finished on me because I was the last one to speak to him. And he said, and now we are all together again. And as he said that, he just beamed. And he had his hand behind his head as he did, Prabhupada. And now we are all together again. And he beamed, and everyone just went, Jai, Prabhupada, and some devotees began to cry.